I'm Nicole and welcome to episode 5 of the Nicole Stitches podcast. This is a video podcast about knitting, crochet, cross stitch, and general crafting. And I am Nicole. I am coming to you from Northern Virginia where I live and work with my boyfriend and our cat Webster. You can keep up with me on Instagram at NicoleSPDesigns, on Ravelry as She Writes Things, on Pinterest at NSP Designs, and on Etsy in my shop NSP Designs where I make and sell handmade project bags, fiber accessories, and original crochet pattern designs inspired by Broadway musicals. I think that's my entire intro spiel, so I will get started. If you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back, and if you are a new viewer, thank you for stopping by and choosing to spend a little time with me. I did want to give a shout out and a thank you to Tristan of Dragon Hoard Yarn, and she's also one half of the Girls in the Yarn Cafe podcast, which she hosts with her mom, who's also a lovely dyer. Her brand is called Yarn Cafe Creations. I've been stalking their yarns both on Instagram for quite a while, and the other day Tristan checked out my podcast and recommended me in her stories, which was super nice. Thank you so much for doing that, and if you are here on her recommendation, I really appreciate it. Thank you for checking me out. I hope you enjoy, and again, just thank you for giving me a little bit of your time. This is actually my third attempt at filming this episode. I filmed my whole episode yesterday and had to stop due to camera space issues, and in a quest to clear up some more camera space so I could finish recording, I deleted my entire video. So that was not my shining moment. Then I started to refilm and my boyfriend got home from work, and the room that I film in is kind of it's a shared space. It's our spare room, but it's half my shop and bookshelves and then half his desk and computer setup and bookshelves and stuff. So I didn't want to disturb him, and it was dinner time, and it just wasn't a good time to film. So that was scrapped, and here we are. This is actually my lunch break from my work day. I'm hoping that I can fit filming the entire episode in this space. We'll see. If not, I might have to come back later and finish up. I'm really hoping that I can just get through this all in one fell swoop with minimal mistakes, but I mean, let's be honest, I make mistakes. An overall view of the week. This past weekend was Memorial Day weekend, so I got to get out of work a little bit early on Friday evening, which was very nice, and had Monday off. We did a couple of fun things this weekend. I can get into them in more detail a little bit later, but this past weekend was also our anniversary, so we did something special for that on Saturday, and on Sunday we went to Old Town Alexandria, Virginia, which is always a nice place to spend a little time, and Monday we pretty much did nothing. I did a little bit of work for the shop, I did some knitting, and overall just relaxed. So it was a really nice weekend. I hope yours was nice too. And now here we are. Today is Wednesday when I'm recording this, and it's been a pretty uneventful week. We're supposed to get thunderstorms once again today, but Webster just opened the blinds, his favorite activity as we've established since last week, and it looks pretty sunny out, so I'm kind of hoping that the weather forecast is wrong and it can just stay nice outside for once. That's about it. I think I'll get right into works in progress. The first one will be no surprise to anyone who is a returning viewer, and it is my Tecumseh sweater. It is right here in my big old project bag. Eagle-eyed viewers will notice a little change in my pin collection on the front of the bag, which I'll get to a little while later, but here is my sweater. I don't have any yarn attached to it right now because as of last night, I am on Sleeve Island. I finished the body this weekend. I did the ribbing in the car on the way to and from Old Town Alexandria. I actually made a mistake in the ribbing while I was stitching that, and I had to go back and frog a few rows and fix that mistake. So that was really most of my car ride, but I did the body and the ribbing at that time, and I started the sleeve. And last night I finished my sleeve, did the ribbing, and bound off. So now I just need to pick up this sleeve, finish that, and my sweater will be done. I'll just need to wash it, block it, give it one last fit check, and that'll be that. I have a couple of stitch markers here, and that is because I'm using Knit Picks Swish DK for this sweater, which is a 100% superwash merino. I've noticed that Swish gets a little bit splitty if you're not paying attention, and I did catch myself a few times accidentally splitting a stitch, and I was able to undo that stitch and do it again without the split, but unfortunately there were a couple of times where I totally missed that happened, and I didn't see until later. And I found two specific points here, and I just marked them with a little safety pin style stitch marker. I stabilized them. I looped it through the two stitches on either side just to keep it from putting any stress on the split stitch, and one over here as well. And I'm gonna figure out some way to secure them. I'm sure that I can't be the first person who that has happened to, and I'm sure there's something that can be done. I just need to check online and see what I need to do. But here's my Tecumseh. It does fit. I tried on the body once again after it was finished and fully off the needles, and my sleeve fits at, I'm pretty sure, the perfect length, so that's very exciting. Just need to make sure that my other sleeve is the same length, and I'll be good to go. I'm doing magic loop for the sleeves, despite my best efforts to avoid it. I'm not a huge fan of magic loop. I find it to be very fiddly and kind of tedious. I had to do it when I knit the Flaxlight baby sweater a few months ago now. I did magic loop for the sleeves, and that was so tedious because you have the small circumference of a baby sweater sleeve, you have the garter panel on the Flaxlight pattern that you have to remember to do, and then you have to do magic loop on ribbing, which, like, magic loop and ribbing together, it was killing me. But so when I knew that I was going to have to go to the sleeve circumference, I actually hopped on Amazon and I got myself a pair of very short ChowGoos. I made most of this using ChowGoo lace needles, and I got myself a tiny pair with a short cord, and I think that the cord is just shorter than I expected it to be. I think I didn't really pay attention to what the measurement was when I ordered these because it's very short, and the needles themselves also have this kink in them. I'm really not sure what the purpose of that is, but it made it for very tight knitting because the cord actually got crowded with too many stitches when I tried to use this for the sleeve. And then the way that I had to hold this, because of the small circumference and the kink in the needle and the crowded stitches, made my this hand ache, and I already get repetitive stress pain from so much knitting and crochet and stitching. I don't need to inflame that or make it worse with my tools, so I had to stop using these, which is kind of a shame because I did buy them special for this, but they really were inexpensive, so I don't feel too guilty about that, and I'm sure I can hopefully find another use for them or a good home, somebody who loves them. So I switched to magic loop for this sleeve. I got out my Haya interchangeable set and put the right size needles on the longest cord that I had and made it work. It worked pretty well. It actually wasn't as tedious. I think because it was a bigger circumference to have on magic loop, it didn't feel so annoying to have to fiddle with the cord and the needles constantly. Doing color work on magic loop is definitely not my favorite. I found that some of my stitches where the break was for the cord to come through were kind of looser, and then other areas of my color work were tighter and a little bit puckery. You can actually see it a little bit here in my crosses or my plus signs that there's a little bit of puckering, but there's actually plenty of stretch in there as well. It stretches just fine. My arm fits perfectly well, and I think that blocking will take that down just fine. But when I noticed that was happening, I gave myself a little bit more give in my floats. I made sure that my floats were looser just to combat that, and because I know that that's an issue. But yeah, magic loop still not my favorite, but it got the job done a lot more efficiently and without causing extra pain in my hand, so that's good. If you know of another way of doing sleeves, please let me know. I know there's a method that you can use with just two circular needles. I've seen a couple people talk about that online, and I at the time that I read about it, it like made total sense to me, but I've since become confused by the concept. So if you're familiar with that method and you like it and it works, or you know where I can find resources about it, please let me know, because I would totally be open to experimenting with that. But I've rambled on about my Tecumseh sweater quite enough. Here it is. Hopefully next week I will have it as a finished object to share with you. My next project is another repeat offender. It is my Asana Wrap. I had a little bit of train riding to do this weekend. As I mentioned, it was our anniversary, and we are moderately close to Washington, D.C. where we live. We have metro access, and it's a little bit of a train ride to get into the city proper, but we decided to take a little trip to the Washington Zoo. They have free admission and really, really wonderful environments for the animals, and they just do a great job, and it's an enjoyable place. We went there kind of early when we first started dating, so we thought it would be nice to visit again. And for my train riding, I brought my Asana Wrap. I made a little bit of progress. Here's my Little Bitty Delights Progress Keeper, little coffee cup. And obviously, once again, you're not going to be able to really tell that I made progress, but here it is. I actually counted my repeats to see where I was, and I'm about halfway through this big garter stripe section, and then I will be on to a big lace section in this blue color, which is a Plucky Knitter colorway. And then my garter stripe colors are Hedgehog Fibers, Monarch, and Fool's Gold. So not a ton of work, but I did work on it. It is still in progress. And that is that. Last week I also showed you a cross-stitch project that I had just started, and I'm not showing you this week because it is a secret gift for someone who watches these videos, and I don't want to spoil it, and I have gotten to the point in stitching where it actually is starting to look like things. So I'm gonna keep it a secret for a little bit longer. I'll probably show you when it's done. I'll give a spoiler warning, or I'll tell the recipient not to watch that video, but for now I'm gonna keep it a little bit of a secret. And that's about it for works in progress. I wanted to update you on a dilemma that I had last week. I had a colorwork color choice situation going on. So my next planned sweater project is the Spotlight Sweater by TinCanKnits. I don't have the pattern to show you because I'm not prepared as usual, but I showed you last week that my colors had arrived. It is a very plain from the yoke down sweater, just solid stockinette stitch, but there is a yoke that is 3 bands of small arrows or chevrons, and each one is a different bright color. And I chose for this project to use Swish worsted because I'm using the DK for my Tecumseh and I really love it. So I went with Conch, Electric Blue, and Honey for this sweater. This is the same yellow that I'm using in my Tecumseh. And last week I showed you the body color that I had chosen. It was a kind of medium brown called Camel Heather, and it was very different from what I had expected based on the pictures that were online. So I was kind of stuck. I didn't know what to do. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it, and I didn't think that the color went that nicely. So I was debating returning it and exchanging it for a different color, which I have done. I showed in that episode that I thought I would use Dove Heather, which is the gray in my Tecumseh. A lot of repeat appearances here, but they of course were sold out in the worsted weight of that color when I went to order it. So I'm actually going to be using this color, which is called Marble Heather. It's a slightly darker gray, and I think that this is gorgeous. I think this is the perfect replacement. It goes so well with those colors. They go nicely together. I think it makes the colors pop, and I think it's gonna look a lot better. So the brown yarn is on its way back to Knit Picks, and I exchanged it for this beautiful marble color, and I could not be more pleased. That project is currently living. I don't know if it's going to stay in this bag, because this bag actually has 2 projects jammed in here. This one, and then a secret crochet pattern design that is forthcoming. But this size bag in this fabric will be in my shop very soon. I don't think it's in there quite yet, but it is coming, so if you're curious, you'll be able to grab one too. But that is the update on my colorwork dilemma, and those are all my works in progress. So next I'm going to share with you a little bit of stash enhancement. A couple episodes back, I talked about one of my favorite kind of new discovery indie dyers. I found her shop within the last year or so. Her shop is called Fiber for the People. Her podcast is called Wool Needles Hands. Her name is Taylor, and she's a lovely human, very talented designer, beautiful yarn all the time. And I showed you this skein, which is from her shop. It is Lemon and Grenadine, and this is a color that she came up with a little bit ago. I was on a yarn diet at the time that she released this color, but red and yellow are my 2 absolute favorite colors, and she shared this on Instagram and I had to. So this is my little yarn diet cheat. I grabbed this skein, and she has since, first of all, I have since come off the yarn diet. Moderately. Within reason, I'm off the yarn diet. I'm still trying to be like conscious but of how much yarn I have and need to use and all of that, but like, I mean, come on. But she has since kind of reworked that colorway and re-released it, and as soon as she saw it, I knew that I had a big problem on my hands because it is so beautiful. And it arrived yesterday. So this is the updated version. Again, this colorway is called Lemon and Grenadine, and it is just out of control. It's almost offensive is what it is, how beautiful this is. It's I got this in the mail, and I opened the package and I kind of just sat and stared at it for a little bit. it was a stop the presses, stop what you're doing and just stare for a little bit. So as a comparison, here is the new one and here is the old version, the original. I'll put the two new skeins on either side so you can really see the difference. It's gorgeous. It's all gorgeous. It's all beautiful. I mean, the first version is beautiful, but the second version, it's like she turned the dial up a bunch, and it's amazing. I think that this is going to get cast on really soon. I don't think that this will spend much time in my stash at all. I think this is going to become a thing very close in the future. That is that stash enhancement, but I also mentioned that this past weekend on Sunday we went to Old Town Alexandria. If you are familiar with Old Town Alexandria, it is just an area of the city that has been kind of preserved a little bit. Lots of old storefronts. There is the main kind of drag that's called King Street, and it's just a bunch of small businesses, a lot of boutiques, a lot of restaurants and cafes. Very cool place. Lots of delicious food and fun shopping options. We went and had brunch at a restaurant called the Majestic Cafe, which was very cool. It had like embossed tin ceilings and a really cool kind of 40s-ish vibe, I think, and brunch was delicious. But the real reason that we went to Old Town Alexandria was to visit my new semi-local yarn shop. It's not that close to us. It's about anywhere between like a 35-minute to an hour drive depending on traffic, but I'm considering it local because it's easy enough to get there. Fibre Space. You may have seen Fibre Space around the Instagram. They're very active on there, and I've been there once before, a couple years ago, but I was very pleased to get to take another trip there. And I have a couple of stash acquisitions. The first is actually on my wrist. It is the currently very popular wrist ruler. I got mine in the orange color, and I really love it. I've been wearing it around to break it in, which is what they instructed me to do. I also grabbed a pin by Shelli Can that I have wanted for a very long time, and it is living on my Tecumseh bag. It is her I Feel Like Knit pin. I've been obsessed with that since I first saw it, and I was so pleased that they had it there, and I grabbed one. This used to be occupied this space by the Clever Clove pin, but that pin actually broke. A part of it chipped and fell out. I'm really not sure what happened. I was super bummed and upset when that occurred, but I have a replacement in the mail. Heidi, the owner of the Clever Clove, wonderful, wonderful lady, was very sweet, and I have a replacement on the way. She's the best. Go check out the Clever Clove. She's absolutely amazing. Her designs are adorable. Anyway, neither here nor there. New Shelli Can pin. Also go check her out. She's amazing, and her designs are wonderful. I also grabbed a Shelli Can patch, the Craftivist Pussy Hat patch. I was debating whether I wanted the pin or the patch, and I decided to make the bold statement, go big or go home with your pussy hat craftivism, right? So here it is, and I have a small collection of patches so far. It's growing a little bit. I think I need to either get a tote bag and kind of jazz it up with all of my patches or put them all on a denim jacket or something. Haven't decided yet, but for now I'm just going to look at this pretty thing and feel very empowered and rebellious. But moving on to the actual yarn acquisitions, I have one skein that is for my Fibreshare partner. If you're unfamiliar with Fibreshare, I'll link the website in the description. And their Instagram account. Signups are closed right now, but it's basically a big yarn swap. We are in the middle of this round, so that's why signups are closed. But if you follow them on Instagram, they do a great job of reminding you when the next round is open. You basically fill out a little survey, they assign you someone to send a package to, and then someone sends a package to you. So I picked up a skein for my partner, which I am not going to show you just in case she watches, but for myself, I grabbed 2 skeins of Neighborhood Fiber Co., which is actually based in Baltimore, where I just moved from. And I got these 2 skeins of DK yarn. This one is Banksy. It's so cool. Beautiful color combination. I actually had decided that I was done, and then I was on my way to the register and saw this, and I had to grab it because I mean, look at that. And the other skein I grabbed to go with this is Charles Village, which is a part of Baltimore. A lot of the Neighborhood Fiber Co. colorways are named after neighborhoods in Baltimore or the surrounding area, which I think is really cool. Lots of familiar names to me, and so I got these 2 to go together. If you know of any good 2-skein DK weight projects, please let me know, because I have no idea what to do with these. I don't know, anything. Mitts, hats. I don't make socks because I'm scared of socks, but any good 2-skein DK weight yarn projects, please let me know. I would love to check them out. I got those 2 skeins, and then I grabbed 2 skeins of Hedgehog Fibers sock. This is a favorite yarn of mine. Again, I'm obsessed with Hedgehog Fibers colorways. I saw their colorway Guppy when I was there, which is this glorious bright orange with like turquoise streaks. It was absolutely amazing, but they did not have it in fingering weight, so I controlled myself, but I think I need to get my hands on some Guppy, like, real soon. But I went with this colorway, which is Method. It's a beautiful dingy gray purple with all these flecks of like rust and black and purple in there. And then I got Urchin, which is white with flecks of a lot of the same colors. I think that these 2 might end up being a project together. I saw them next to each other and grabbed them together, so I think that that speaks volumes, but we'll see. So those are my stash acquisitions from Fibre Space, a little yarn haul for me. And that's pretty much going to be, I think, all of my yarn buying for the immediate future. I have a stash that I need to work through, and I've acquired enough lately. I don't think I need much more. Of course, those are probably famous last words, but we'll find out. Okay, that is it for works in progress and stash enhancements. I did want to make a little announcement about the shop. If you are participating in Fibreshare, or if you're not, I have no way of checking, but from May 25th to June 25th, there's a coupon code for my shop, no limitations. You get 15% off with the code ILOVEFibreshare. I will link it in the description, and I am very honored to be one of their featured shops. You can find it on their website. If you check out their website, you can find a whole bunch of other featured shops, including a couple of indie dyers I have bought from and know and love, like Old Rusted Chair and Traveling Yarn, just to name a couple. But feel free to go and use that coupon code if you are participating in Fibreshare or you just want to treat yourself. I also wanted to mention that this coming week from June 3rd, which is Sunday, to Saturday, June 9th, is Murderino Makers Giving Week. Murderinos are fans of the true crime comedy podcast My Favorite Murder. If true crime is not your cup of tea, you don't enjoy that genre, and you find descriptions of crimes or lots and lots of swearing to be offensive or it bothers you, don't listen to that podcast. But that kind of thing does not bother me at all. I'm a Murderino, which is what fans of the podcast call themselves. And the Murderino Makers are a group of fans of the podcast who also run small handmade businesses, and we have formed this little collective to benefit charity. So once a week, the first week of every month, 15% of every sale in all of our shops goes directly to a charity. The charity changes every month, and we don't keep any of that benefit for ourselves. The full 15% from that week is calculated and sent off to the charity. So June, you may or may not know, is Pride Month, which is meant to celebrate and honor the LGBTQIA, I'm not sure what all the letters are anymore, I'm very sorry, community. And so the cause we are supporting is the Trevor Project, which is a charity meant to address suicide prevention and other similar mental health issues for LGBT individuals. I have a lot of friends who belong to the LGBT community, and a number of whom have struggled with those issues, so this cause is very precious to my heart, and I'm very, very happy to be able to contribute. So if you would like your purchase to go toward that very, very worthy cause, shop with me between June 3rd, which is this coming Sunday, and June 9th, which is the following Saturday. You can use the coupon code I mentioned earlier to get 15% off, and then 15% of your remaining total purchase will get donated directly to that charity. So I just wanted to share that because it is something special that will benefit a worthy cause, and I wanted to make my viewers aware that your purchase can go a long way to benefiting someone other than you and me. That's pretty much it for my episode this week. It was a quick one, I hope. I did minimal rambling. I will share with you a little bit about my weekend if you are interested. As I mentioned, we took the metro to the DC Zoo on Saturday for our anniversary. It was a lovely trip. It was a very nice day. When we went the first time, way back when we were first dating, it was an incredibly, unbearably hot day. It was ridiculously humid. It was just awful. This time it was much nicer. The sun was out, it was warm, but it wasn't crazy. And so we got to see lots of the animals. A lot of them were out and about, which was lovely. When we went the first time, some of the animals, it was too hot for them to be outside, so they were off exhibit, but I got to enjoy some time with the elephants, which are my favorite animal, and a lot of them were out in their enclosure. Their enclosure was huge. It's a giant, I mean, they're elephants, so it should be big, but their enclosure was huge. You can walk around basically the whole thing, see them from all kinds of angles. You can go inside and see them train and stuff. It was so cool. I was very pleased. That's where we spent our morning, and then after we had been there for a few hours, we grabbed lunch and came home and relaxed a little bit. My boyfriend took a nap, I did some knitting, and then we went to dinner at our new favorite, not fancy, it's not fancy, like there's not a dress code, but it's a little bit of a more expensive restaurant. The food itself is a little fancier, and we made a reservation there for our anniversary. It is a Korean and Cajun restaurant, kind of a tapas style where you order and share a bunch of small plates. It was amazing. It was so good, and we really loved that dinner. And then on Sunday, as I mentioned, we went to Old Town Alexandria, spent some time there, then came home and relaxed for the rest of the weekend. It was really wonderful. As for reading progress, I mentioned last week that I had finally finished A Wrinkle in Time and was about to start a novel called I Am Not Your Perfect Mexican Daughter. I don't have the book on me right now, it's on my nightstand. I did not make a ton of progress because one of my old professors from college and close mentors recently published a collection of short stories, and I grabbed myself a copy and I've been kind of reading through that instead. But I have started I Am Not Your Perfect Mexican Daughter, and I will give you a better update next week when I've made more progress. So I think that's everything for this episode. If you were a new viewer, thank you so much for stopping by. If you are a returning viewer, thank you for spending more time with me. I hope this episode was enjoyable. I'll see you next week. I hope you have a lovely weekend and week to get a lot of crafting done, and I'll see you next time. Bye!